Ah, guitar pedals. You know, they come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. Perhaps none more iconic than the classic Stomp Box. Fuzz pedals, chorus pedals, delay pedals, phasers, tuners, reverbs, MIDI controllers, amp modelers. The list goes on and on. Perhaps the most recognizable pedal of all is the almighty wah-wah pedal, with its addictive bark helping guitarists scream out licks for over half a century. We're going to take a look at pedals, effects, and modelers in this series, and Craig Barnett is back to get us started with a Stomp Box build of his own conjuring. So stick around and enjoy.
The Shirky's Machine, most entertaining channel you've ever seen. He's always making lots of interesting scenes for you to watch on YouTube.
So I've got these two box housings here. This is the Marshall one, and it's a little bit more compact for your pedal board.
Yeah.
And then this one's that Hayden or whatever that amplifier was, and I just chopped it down.
Okay.
So it's got enough room for the same thing, but it's a little more spread out. So here's what this is going to be, and I could just make it be two transparent boosts in one pedal, but I thought it would be more useful if you had a boost, which is basically there's very little grit or anything associated with it. You can get a little bit, not a whole lot. It's more of just a clean boost, and then you can dial in your treble and bass and stuff so that you can jump out if you want, if you want to stick out in the mix or whatever.
Yeah.
It works really good for that. And then on the other side, and I'm not sure which order to put them in. That's the problem with doing a double pedal.
Yeah.
Is that you're stuck with the order that it's put in. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if you were going to have a clean boost and more of an overdrive type thing, not a real over-the-top distortion pedal, but an overdrive, would you want the boost first? Here's your guitar coming in, so you've got your boost pedal on this side and your overdrive on this side to the output into the amp, or the other way around?
Because in the instance you'd use both at the same time, I think that I'd want the boost before.
Okay,
That
makes sense. These knobs are just a little bit smaller, and what I could do, label them like V for volume, T for treble, B for bass. I could probably even make like little decals, but maybe since she's going to be doing like a hand painted thing, that it wouldn't be a bad idea to just send the knobs home with you and let her paint those like that, but you're still stepping on it. So I would think a clear coat would be for sure something that you want to put over her artwork to keep that safe from the footprint. What I don't want to have happen though is to spray on that and have her artwork go, turn into a crinkly mess. Right. Yeah, that'd be something we'd want to definitely test out so that I don't ruin, and have to sand it off and send it back. Mm-hmm. So this is with the pedal down like that.
Okay.
So assuming that it's flipped over like this, you're just reading it backwards. Mm-hmm. So you'd have your treble here, your volume here, your bass here, so treble bass, and then gain right here.
Okay.
And then the same thing on the other side. The boost, you definitely can jump that volume and drive the front end of your amp, which is nice, but it's very transparent, so you can change the tone of it just a little bit. It's not a big change that you're experiencing with the treble and bass controls. Mm-hmm. And then you've got a little bit of gain structure that has some clipping, so you can kind of clip just the top and bottom of the signal off and kind of give it a little bit of dirt. That's on the boost side. And then on the other side, which is the overdrive side, the experience that I have with this particular circuit is that it has a really vowel-like gain structure to it. So, and it's really sensitive to pick attack. I think you really like it a lot. I would just say she should paint 2 sets of treble, bass, volume, and gain. So she would just need V, G, T, and B.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if she's good at lettering and everything, then it'll tie in with the hand painted nature of the rest of it too.
Mm-hmm. I've asked one of the 2 visual artists I live with to come up with some interesting artwork for my pedal. Stick around till the end of this video and you'll get to see what they've come up with. So just curious, what made you think to do this? What was your... I know that we left off in one of the videos in the series on the flip that we talked about your pedal building past.
I really wanted to make something that a serious musician would plug into and go, oh yeah, this is useful to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you kind of got me started on this thought. Plus, having the little boxes laying around there, it's kind of like, should I throw them away? Should I use them? No, I'm going to use them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the tiny nature of it, it's kind of like that Walking with Giants guy that like bakes a Thanksgiving meal that's like this big.
Yeah.
In little tiny pans.
And it looks like it would be
little
about
tiny,
a morsel, a mouthful.
Not even that. You know?
Yeah.
So it's just so small that it's been kind of a frustrating thing in the past for me to work on. But I have my friend here. Gotta have these.
Mm-hmm.
Without these, there's no way I'd be able to work on this stuff. Because once I start doing the soldering onto, here's the type of board that I'll be using. It's called, I believe it's called Velo board.
Yeah.
And basically what you have is you've got all these holes in it, which allows you to plug stuff in wherever you want. And you're only limited by the footprint of whatever component you've got. And then what you've got on the bottom is you've got strips that run all the way along here that connect this entire row together. You can see where the red spots are.
Yeah.
Those are spots where I'm going to cut the trace so that it can't get past over in this direction, because I'm going to need to, for instance, none of this stuff on this side of the red needs to be connected to any of this stuff over here. And then of course there's quite a few cuts in between to isolate different strips from the others. That one that I just showed you is the overdrive.
Yeah.
This circuit's a little more simple. This is the boost. There's a lot less cuts that I'm going to have to make on here. I haven't actually drawn them in yet because I haven't laid out the particular components that I'm going to use for the final build.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is really cool. So these will be identical in tone and everything.
Yeah, the circuitry will be the same. And the pot values and all that. I got all the parts separated into a couple of bags here. So one of them's mine and one of them's going to be yours. And the one thing that can be messed around with is there's different integrated circuit chips that we can use. There's the 4558, which is pretty universal for overdrives and things. It's a nice little op amp, very common. And then for the overdrive side, that's what I plan to use, since my proto board worked really well with the 4558, and it sounds real nice and transparent. I'm going to use that for the boost side, and then for the overdrive side, I'm opting to use I think the part number is TLO72, and it's just another op amp that has the same pin out. And but there's other ones that can be used if someone wanted to. These are just mounted into a socket.
Mm-hmm.
Thing. You can just swap one out and swap another one in. So anyways, this little thing will probably go into just a single pedal for a clean boost. It's not the prettiest thing on the earth, but who cares?
Yeah.
Close the box.
Yeah.
And it's and it's hidden. I don't think there's any room for a battery, so here's where your 9-volt jack is going to be. So you'll be able to plug your power supply right into there. And then your in jack will be here and your out jack will be here. Just grab a pot out of here and make sure we got clearance. Yeah, so I think if I come down right to about there, that'll be good. And then what I did on these LED holders, this one I chopped down, and I probably could have lopped off just a little bit more of it. I chopped one of them down quite a bit more to where the LED sits down in there just a little tiny bit, so this won't be in the way of anything else, so there won't be any obstruction there. Right about here. And I'll just put one on the other side, and you'll have side to side. Once I get mine built and you give me back the box that's painted and I start working on yours, you can take mine and that'll give you a feeling for what it is you're getting back. I can make small tweaks to the circuit before I get going, but based on what I worked up here, and then the other overdrive that I've heard online, says none of this stuff is my design. On the boost, that it had not very much sweep as far as the bass goes.
Yeah.
And so I made a couple of component changes to try and make it a little bit more, give you a little bit more versatility there. And then I found it to be just a little bit on the bright side, so I changed a cap and experimented around with that until I came up with the one that I thought sounded the best. And what I was using as my test platform was that little prototype board, and then the Mark II. So it's going to be very similar to the amp that we just finished building. So.
And if you watch the Marshall JTM30 Flip series, you know what kind of quality and attention to detail Craig is known for. I know I sure do, and I can't wait to see how that translates over to stomp boxes. Thanks for joining us for this series. Come back for the next episode to see how this pedal comes together. I'll leave you with a montage of Shirky Jr.'s incredible craftiness.
seen. He's always making lots of interesting scenes for you to watch on YouTube.